We're back to the Total Tutor Show, powered by the Beach Lifestyle Celebrity segment, TotalTutor.net for more information, Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook. And I want to first bring on my co-host, Jared. And Jared, I want to announce something after our last inspiring interview. We're going to team up with an organization now. Jared, how are you?
I am doing wonderful today. Beautiful day here in Pittsburgh, and I am completely looking forward to our guest today.
Well, I'm excited about the series, the Insightful Players series, and I'm excited to welcome the program, former NFL player, inspirational speaker, Blaise Winter. Blaise, thanks for calling.
Hello, boys. How are you?
We're doing fantastic.
We're doing great. We're excited to have you with us today, and
hey, Jared.
Forward to everything.
I have a question for you, Jared. Hey, what's going on with the Steelers?
Well, these are the times to try men's souls. I mean, this is all about perseverance and overcoming obstacles. It's a long season. There's plenty of time to get back on track.
Hey, don't you feel sorry for Ben?
I do. I mean, he definitely has his work cut out for him with being able to stay in the pocket and get that pass off. But we have another great story, and that is the Pittsburgh Pirates are in the playoffs for the first time in 2 decades.
It's amazing.
You know what? That is something to be proud of.
In fact, my son and I were catching baseball while we were waiting for the bus today, and he was pretending he was Andrew McCutcheon, his favorite baseball player.
Hey,
that's great.
You never know, Jared, when Andrew will be on our show. Trust me, I'm going to try to work through the Major League Baseball deal as well. So, Blaise, I wanted to go in specifically your childhood. Put you on the hot seat. You put Jared on the hot seat about the Steelers, and you know what? We're not going to give up on them yet. I made a friendly wager with someone in Seattle saying that I would have to wear a Seattle's Seahawks jersey if they had a better record. I'm in deep trouble unless somehow the Steelers make the greatest comeback ever. Maybe London will change them. But Blaise, first of all, tell us a little bit about your childhood, and it was a difficult childhood that led you, I guess, in your whole inspiring story.
Well, I'll tell you the best way to sum it up is I wasn't a very good communicator. I really wasn't able to talk very well. I had a speech impediment, and I was born with a rather severe cleft lip and palate, and it really isolated me. Not only did it isolate me in school around my peers, but I chose to isolate myself, and it really wasn't a healthy environment, even though my mother was very energetic. It really was about listening to more of the dark side of my own personality. I really wasn't a very happy person. I spent way too much time feeling sorry for myself, and I really wanted to run away. I wanted to run away from life. I wanted to run away from my role. And my mother would always say, one day it'll get better. One day you'll realize that every bit of adversity is a blessing to you. And I really, as a little boy in elementary school, I thought she was crazy. I thought, what is wrong with this woman? Mom just doesn't see it because she never had this problem. And so I would isolate myself with, the world doesn't have my problem. I can't talk very well. I'm not very handsome. I'm not very bright. I'm just poor Blaise. And that's really the way my childhood was. A lot of it in private. I was jealous of my brother. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Every girl seemed to adore him. I was mad at the world. I was just not a real great person to be around. I believe I was real good at making you believe everything was all right. But at this point in my life at 51, the honest truth is I was just inferior, and I felt that way. And I really ran more away from stuff than I did toward anything that would resolve the problem. And my mother and my great-grandmother, those two people really pushed me or turned me around. And they're the ones who stopped me, turned me around, and then pushed me in the right direction. So I must admit, I feel sorry. I'm really sorry for this, but I used to really hate them for doing that. I used to say, why don't you just leave me alone? And my mother's reply would be, that's not my job to leave you alone. And your life turned around a little bit.
You know, it's so many times on our show when we have our advice show for parents, you know, we talk to parents about seeing the world through a child's eyes. And as an adult, we're able to see the bigger picture. We have foresight. We're able to look down the road. A child's life is centered so much in the present. And, you know, I want to get to, you know, you talked about the anger that you had, the resentment you had, the low self-esteem. And, you know, when you're entering elementary school and you're facing those things, I want you to share with our listeners, how did you turn it around?
Well, you know, Ben, going to school, elementary school, middle school are the worst years, in my opinion, growing up. They're the worst years because bullies are everywhere. There are more ruthless, nasty human beings on the earth at that level, it seems like. Or maybe the way I should put it is they don't know how to hide it. I think there's a lot of adult bullies that know how to hide it.
Yes.
But I think growing up there's a lot of kids that don't know how to hide it, and you wish they would. But it was painful. I used to climb out of dumpsters. I used to try to find my way out of dark rooms, and I would be locked in closets. And I used to be, and a lot of times my mother never really knew these things were happening until, you know, she faced one day my tears. And I said, you know, why are you doing this to me? And she said, what am I doing to you? Why are you putting me in these special rooms and these special environments? And why are you letting these people do this to me? And she found out some of the heartache I was going through, and she immediately came to my rescue, not by way of running in and telling the world, what are you doing, my son? She taught me how to defend myself emotionally. She taught me how to walk toward the things I was afraid of. And those are the same things I tell my children now. My children now are the most beautiful two young boys that are in high school now, but they both were bullied to death.
Oh, my.
Because they were blonde, they were dark-skinned, they were handsome, they were talented. I said were. They are all these things.
My.
And people that aren't perfect, they feel this, oh, how dare you. And they bullied the heck out of my two younger, beautiful young boys.
Oh, my gosh.
And I taught my son's the same thing my mother taught me, which is go right up to them, look them in the eye, the people that you're having trouble with, and ask them at the very start of the day, can I help you with something? Do you want to get anything off your chest? And after they would say to you, what are you, nuts? You tell them, hey, do you want a hug? And I looked at my mom and said, well, you want me to go up to the people who just beat me up, and you want me to say what? And I tried it one day because I was fearless. I felt I have nothing to lose, and maybe it'd be better if I was knocked out permanently. And I went up and I said, do you have anything you want to say before the day starts? And this guy looked at me. He was like 4 inches taller. What is wrong with you, man? You want me to, take care of you after school? I said, why don't you just take care of me now? Man, you're weird. Get away from me. And I said, before I leave, I said, can I just have a hug? And he looked at me like, what is wrong? And you know what? I never was bothered by that kid again. Never. And shortly after all these things were happening in middle school and elementary, my mom put me on a football field. She felt, you want to equalize the people around you. You want to neutralize the playing field around you. You want to even that playing field off. You want to go against some of the people that are making you feel bad. Do you want to build your own self-esteem? What you sign up for football? And then she went out and she did it without my knowledge.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what? Wait a minute, man. I said, you signed me up for what? And she said, I thought you liked football. And I said, no, I just want to be left alone. And she said, no, I'm not leaving you alone. I'm not leaving you alone. And she pushed me out of the football field, and from the car, she smiled and said, go after your dreams. And I looked back, and I said in a whisper, I hate you. And she looked at me and smiled, and she didn't say another word. And then the coach took me away, and my life forever changed on the football field.
Blaise, I mean, when I'm hearing this story and I hear about what you talked about with bullying and teaching your kids, your mother and grandmother's advice, fantastic in this situation. We're going to get to the football thing in a second, but again, you didn't just have these surgeries and all these issues with your health. Also, you grew up with an abusive father. So there's a lot of things going against you in your life that you could just give up, right? It's pretty much.
Oh man, my friends, listeners, I just yes. And you know what's funny is I literally am sitting here with a smile on my face, telling these horrible stories because my perspective is, if it's going to rain, let it rain. If it's going to be dark, let it be dark. But I am not laid down without fighting. I am not going down in flames. I am going down pulling everything I can with me when it comes to being righteous and being empowered. I know what my mom means about adversity. If you look at it the right way, it's really an asset. And I've looked at it that way now for years, so I smile as I tell these stories, but probably the worst abuse I got from anything or anybody came from the person that I thought was supposed to love me the most, my other parent, my father. And my father was the meanest man I've ever met in my life. He always used the term, it's so unfair. And then he would hit you. And he would make himself, I guess, feel better. And I would always be asked the question by some that were listening to my story, was he an alcoholic? Was he on drugs? And then I would pause and say, I wish he was. But no, he wasn't. He was just plain fed up. And my feeling now is, if you're fed up, then do something about it. If you're upset, then start something. Don't create a solution rather than continue to live out the problem. I'm so tired of hearing society says, but it's unfair. If you don't like your environment, go do something about it. If you don't like the people around you, then move. If you don't like it, then do something to make your world better. We all want to be happy, and we all want to be a certain degree at peace. If you're not at peace, go find it. And when I was a child, I used to run right toward hell. I used to run right away from heaven. And I always thought my father was right. I thought, man, you know what? He really, in the long run, has it right, that it is unfair. And we might as well hurt people that we love the most.
Right.
Because, they're here, and they're not going anywhere. So I used to make my mother's life, how do you put it? I used to make my mother's life really bad. I used to make my grandmother's life bad in some way. And sometimes it wasn't by being violent. Most of the time it was by being so very, very, very quiet and not extending myself, not looking for an answer, not showing ambition. And, the football field forced me into you better stand up or you're going to get hurt. And then I realized, you know what? I really can even off the playing field.
My God.
And I had a fun time.
And football is just such a perfect metaphor when it comes to the life experience. Getting knocked down, stepping back up again, standing in place, expecting to get knocked down again, and knowing that anyone, but you can get back up and try it again. And you might not succeed that time. And that's the other part of football. You know, for every success that you have in a football game, there's someone who's beat you on the line of scrimmage, or a missed tackle, or a missed block, or a drop ball. I mean, a football game is filled with opportunities for success after failure. And you have used, Blaise, so many powerful words here: perseverance, ambition, empowerment. One of my favorite words, empowerment, faith.
Well, that's what you and I are doing on this show. We're trying to reach people that are in the position of power to go out and do more. We're trying to reach the position of people that are a little bit of self-doubt, not to doubt themselves, to take the risk, to step forward, to, in so many words, step into the fire and find out the upside of adversity. And for me, I realized today at 51 in the year 2013, I realized the game of football, for example, as well as the game of life, is under massive attack. My feeling at 51, and I have a right to have this opinion from observation, and I observe and study a lot of people and performance, and not only on the field, but in all types of venues. And the football field is under attack. And what's happening right now, even on the news this morning, is, well, everybody should be happy, and everybody should be successful, and everybody should deal with no adversity, and everybody should be. That is going to destroy, as it is, the football field. It's going to destroy an awful lot of our nation, because the number one quality is that fighter's instinct that says, I'm going to compete with myself.
Exactly.
And if there's no need to compete with yourself, then there's no need, period. And I think there's a great need for people to tap into parts of themselves that are a little bit uncomfortable to be able to reach maximum potential.
Okay.
And, these are the things I talk about: the corporations, the top 500 companies, the organizations all over America. And I study it. It's not that I went to school for it. I study it every day in detail, on and off the field. And some of the simplest things I learned from my mother, my great-grandmother, and from my father, I use to this day.
All right, when we get back, more of Blaise Winter, and he's definitely inspiring all of us. And again, the Insightful Player series is fantastic because, again, all of the insightful players of Chrissy Carew are just so inspiring. And again, when you hear about success in the NFL, and Blaise has just been telling about his life, wait till you hear the story about how he made it to the NFL. We'll be back in just a moment. We're back to the Total Tutor Show on the Total Education Network, TotalTutor.net for more information. Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook. I'm with Jarrett, my co-host, and Blaise Winter, and we're in the Insightful Players series. And there's going to be a lot of awesome NFL players that are going to be coming on the show each and every week. We are so blessed to have this opportunity to interview them, Jared. And we're with Blaise Winter. And I want to go now. Blaise has talked about all his adversity. Well, now you are on that football field, and at times I'm sure you're taking out some of your aggression on counterparts on the field. When did you finally see that, hey, this might be something I can do for a long period of time?
I think the discovery of that really came in college. I mean, the battle of wanting to be a great player wasn't automatic. I was told many times by youth coaches and high school coaches to, move out of the way, to get to the back of the line. And I would find myself after a week or two of going on the field for the first time, I found myself gravitating to the front because I was enjoying the combat, the collision. And I was enjoying it because nobody asked me to look pretty. Nobody asked me to talk. Nobody asked me to show my face. I wore a helmet, shoulder pads, and I really was a warrior. I was an old-fashioned gladiator, and I was playing that in my mind. So I wanted to be the the first one down the hill. I wanted to be the first one in battle. And, I always loved the movies like Rocky. I always loved those movies. And I always saw myself as, Rocky Balboa. I always saw myself as a fighter in the 15th round is when I'll win. And in high school, the coaches would tell me that I was doing a great job. And when that day came where I had to ask them to help me go to a college, they told me they had to be realistic and honest with me. And I said, well, all right, please do be. Well, Blaise, Coach Joe Hines said, well, Blaise, you're a good player. And I said, thanks, Coach. I want to play for Penn State. I want to play for Pittsburgh. I want to play for Ohio State. I want to play for the best colleges in America, but I'm not really hearing anything from them. You got to help me, Coach. And this was February of my senior year. And I have played basketball, track and field, wrestling, but football was where my heart was. And I was doing all right. I mean, I was a starter. Was I MVP in my high school? No. Was I all area? Second or third team. And that's not saying much. But I was a fighter. I was the last one, off the field, the first one on the field. And yeah, I had some height. I'm 6'3.5", and I have some. I didn't have much weight. I was about 200 pounds, and I ran real slow. And plus I'm white. So I mean, the fact of the matter is, it didn't go over very well. And no matter how silly that sounds, there are a lot of stereotype human beings on this earth. For example, if you're born with a hole in your face, the way I was, most likely you're partially retarded. And that's not true, but an awful lot of people ask me growing up, what's wrong with you? Are you retarded? And my response would be, nothing. And I finally had a chance to tell my coach that here's where I want to play. I'm really excited about overcoming my childhood problems. I mean, I was captain of the team, and I was respected finally by my senior year by my peers. I was a class somewhat leader, and then he shot me down, and he said, "Quote, your mother and father should be telling you this." And I said, "Well, what?" "Well, you remember what I said before. There's a time to get realistic, and the time is now." And I said, all right, what does that mean? Penn State, Pittsburgh, Ohio State, West Virginia, Notre Dame, Boston, where should I start? Blaise, these schools are not going to recruit you. And I said, what? Well, you have to call them. And then he said, quote, I would look like a fool. And I said, what? You said I was good. You said you try hard. But to play at these universities, you need to have more than effort on your side. I said, Coach, all I need is a chance, please. And he said, I'm sorry, son, I can't help you.
Oh.
And I said, but I want to play.
Right. And so what I'm hearing is that another adult has let you down, has disappointed you, has really not, again, had the foresight to look at you as an individual, your heart, your determination. How did you beat those odds? I mean, that's a pretty big deal to have your high school football coach tell you you're not going to play at an elite college.
Boys, you know what's funny? What's funny to me is this. The ones that told me this, that hurt the most, were the adults.
Yes.
The ones that hurt me the most, the kids, I was over that. A day or two later, they're jerks.
Right.
But the adults, I had a counselor tell me I would live a quiet, slow life. I had a father who would put out his hand and say, look at my hand. You're not going to be a football player. You're going to be just like me. You're going to work in the mill. You're going to work in the plant. Right. You're going to work, and then he would hit me with that same hand he was showing me. And then I had the coach, the father of my life, growing up, who told me all the things I wanted to hear on the field, finally had a honest conversation with me, I guess, and told me, hey, man, I can't help you any further. But why'd you tell me you can't earlier? Well, you get caught up in the moment. In other words, you lied to me. No, I never lied to you, Blaise. You're lying to yourself. I said, oh, man, I went home, and who was there? My mother. And she saw the tears in my eyes, and a teenage boy who had overcome a lot. She said, what's wrong? And I told her. She said, I don't believe it. Your coach would never tell you that. So she went out and found out for herself, came home, and said, you're out of school for a week. And I said, well, what happened? Now, my mom was 6'1", 275 pounds. And for a moment in my mind, I thought, my mother beat up the coach. And I really thought, well, what did you do? I'm out of school for a week. And she said, I took you out of school. And why? What are those schools you want to play for? And I said, well, what do you mean? We're going to go visit them. But Mom. And then she told me about America, the land of the free. And she said, in this country, you have opportunities. And you have to take advantage of those things. I will drive. Go upstairs, pack your clothes for a week. I'm driving you to Penn State, Pittsburgh, Ohio State. I'm going to drive you as far as I can in 1 week. We'll visit these schools. And I said, Mom, they're going to laugh at us. And they laughed. They laughed at Penn State. They laughed at Pittsburgh. They laughed. And who was the one who laughed at me? The receptionist. She said, only people with invitations are invited here.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, Mom. And then she took me to Canton, Ohio. And my whole life changed again because I realized all those things that people were telling me, other people had heard also.
Yes. So I guess, again, because we are almost running out of time, Blaise, and this is such a tremendous story. It could probably be an hour interview. We'll have to have you back on to talk more about this again. So Blaise, and I'm really excited to have you back. But I guess, long story short, the quick pace is basically Syracuse gave you your shot. You had a tremendous career at Syracuse. So go to that, and then again your NFL quick highlights.
Really what happened, guys, is I walked on at Syracuse. They told me 3 times there was no scholarship. I walked on. I earned one on the rebound. I met a remarkable man that was my position coach. I was raised by him. I was drafted 4 years later, the 35th person in the world into the NFL. Upon being drafted into the NFL, ESPN, or someone like ESPN in 1984, said over national radio TV, wow, the Indianapolis Colts just chose Blaise Winter in the 2nd round in the NFL draft. What a mistake. What a stretch. And then I heard it again, and I went to Indianapolis. I started as a rookie, and at the end of my rookie year, I had 90-plus tackles. I was AFC Defensive First Team Rookie of the Year, and that same person never wrote another bad article about me again.
So, again, you went out there and you proved people wrong through your effort, your dedication, the faith that you knew inside of you. We talk about it on this show so many times, intrinsic motivation, the faith that you had inside of you to go out and not just play the game of football, but play and participate in the game of life. And
I'm telling you, my friends, I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, you know what? I don't know any other way to live than what I've conditioned myself to become. I don't know what other way to live. I'm a conditioned person. That means spiritually, there is a God. Number 2, mentally, there is information, and I will gather. And number 3, I will out-condition anyone, even at 51 years old. I will outwork anyone because I'm in great shape. I'm mentally fit. I'm spiritually fit. And all 3 have led me to an 11-year NFL career, 25 years of studying martial arts, and an author of Reason to Believe, and co-author of 2 other books, and nationally recognized with 1,500 motivational programs in the last 15 years.
Well, Blaise, I guess you're going to have to come on my Author's Corner show next. I have your contact information. I know you'll come back anytime because I have a huge network, not just the Vice Education show, more for celebrities and all that stuff, but bring you back for another opportunity. The story is so interesting, and again, we don't have enough. We don't have enough time to cover it in one interview. So, where can we find information on you, Blaise? I guess purchase your books and learn more about you.
Well, there's a brand new website that'll be out on the start of the year. That'll help a lot of people. I'm going to go up on the social media. I'm rebranding myself, so there's no website right now. There will be one by the first of the year, 2014. I'm going to be traveling the country with hopefully a new book and a new level of programs that will help a lot of people. Again, the word is empower a lot of people. And I'm excited about 2014. I'm going to launch a whole new approach with technology supporting me. For so many years, I've been a dinosaur. And I'm finally getting up to speed, and I'm excited to meet a lot of new people.
So they can wiki you. They could go to Insightful Player to find information as well. I think it's insightfulplayer.com and check you out because honestly, Blaise, you have a fantastic story, and I'll help you anyway in social media. I'm an expert in that area as well, so we can get you out there. Because when I tried Googling you, didn't know about how successful your NFL career was. I knew your other story, but not that one. So we'll definitely catch up on a phone call at one point in time, see if I can help you out because you're a tremendous guy. And Jarrett, wasn't he a fantastic guest?
I'm blown away. Usually, I'm not speechless when it comes to the end of the interview, but I must say I'm less speechless with what Blaise has accomplished, the inspiring story that he has shared with us.
Jared, one thing I want to leave with is simply this: it's really not about me. It's really at 51 years old. It's really about everybody else, and they need to plug into me for the information I provide, for the spiritual energy I provide, for the passion I have for life. They shouldn't be afraid of it. And again, it's not about, you must make a lot of money per appearance. I've come and taught for nothing. I'll come to empower your grandchildren for nothing. For me, I'm going down fighting for the right reason. And if that means I'm going to do something and die broke, then I'll die broke.
Well, Blaise, fantastic. Again, we can find information at insightfulplayer.com, I think, and Google Insightful Player. Christy Carew has an unbelievable cast of characters from the NFL. And, Blaise, thanks again for calling. And come on now, maybe next time I have you back on, the Steelers will be doing better, and the Pirates will be world champions.
Hey, man, I want to come back on. Thanks a lot, you brothers. I appreciate it a lot. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and God bless you. And again, Chrissy has done so much for so many people, discovering some of us, and I'm thankful that she brought us together. Thank you very much.
Definitely God brought us together, so take care, Blaise.
All right, man. Talk to you later, all.
All right. All right, that was Blaise Winter. Jarrett, great show. We'll talk soon, man. Take care.
Very good. We're glad to be a part of it.
Okay. You're listening to Total Tutor Show, powered by the Beach Lifestyle Celebrity segment, Insightful Players Series, and we'll be back in just a moment.